Hello plant people, how are you guys doing today? If you're new around here, my name is Ashley and I like to take science and apply it to all things plants. In today's video, we're talking about sprouts versus microgreens. I grow both, but I'm gonna help you guys decide what setup you wanna go with. The intent of this video is to ultimately help you guys save money on the grocery bill. Inflation in Canada, and I'm sure the US is the same, all over the world is the same. Eating healthy is expensive, and I'm personally on a journey to try to heal my body here in the last 2 months. I got some crazy medical exam done, and the results are not good. That's what it comes down to. So my goal is to try to heal myself with food because I'm a huge believer in that. Medical doctors, you know, when you ask them like, what can I eat or what can I do? They don't really give you much other than pills in the Canadian health system anyways. I don't know about other healthcare systems. But I believe that food can heal you. And so I'm on this journey to try to do that. It's woman stuff. We'll just leave it at that. But regardless, I am eating microgreens, and inflation has to do with this. My health journey has to do with this. And ultimately getting, 3 heads of romaine lettuce that lasts me 3 days, because that's literally how much of the stuff I eat, is junk. I have no other words for that. It's expensive. It's somewhere around $7 or $8 for 3 heads here in Canada, which comes out to ultimately like $2.30-ish per romaine head, which is ridiculous in my opinion. Thank you, inflation. I'm gonna show you guys how I'm saving money, how I'm actually, producing healthy organic food for less. Now I have all my indoor setups going. I'm gonna do a separate video on those. So I have this little herb garden here going, and then I have actually my whole grow tent in the basement. Tons of hydroponics going on, tons of in soil, different price points that I'm going to walk you guys through here once things start growing and I can actually weigh the pros and cons between all of them. I have a few different setups. I have those Vivo Sun deep water cultures. I have my simple root farm trickle system, and then I also have like bottom fed kind of bucket systems as well. And so I want to walk you through kind of all those different price points. But let's get into which one you should choose, because ultimately there is a small startup cost, and by small I mean less than $10. But if you are working on an extreme budget and you want to choose sprouts versus microgreens, I want to walk you through that from a production standpoint, not from a health perspective, because while I've researched the health perspective, I've done my due diligence on which one I think is better. I'm not a health expert, so do not ask me. I mean, I wouldn't be in the situation where I'm trying to heal my body if I was a health expert. Am I right? So, this is sprouts. So the difference between sprouts is this is sprouts and this is microgreens. So these are radishes and these are broccoli sprouts. So sprouts are when you eat the root, the stem, the leaves, and the seeds. And microgreens is when you just eat the stem and the leaf, and you would leave behind the root and portion of the stem. This can obviously be composted. It can be fed to chickens if you have them. Saskatchewan does not allow chickens, so that is not an option for me. But regardless, it can be repurposed. And so there are some differences between the two. I find that sprouts are a little bit more crunch in them, and some health professionals out there would say sprouts are actually healthier. Now, the reason why we don't see sprouts typically being sold commercially is because they can be toxic. And the reason for that is actually comes down to how they are kept in the containers. So because sprouts are in a very moist, warm environment, they tend to harbor harmful bacteria and things of that nature. So you do need to be careful, and is why I do not encourage you to get the DIY tops. I've done the DIY tops. I tried. Whenever I'm starting a new hobby, I will first try to do everything DIY on my own, discover that all of those ways are incredibly inefficient and way too much work to handle, and then I will drop the hobby and walk away from it and say that was junk, I'm never going to do that again. And then I will revisit a few years later, and then I will spend the $5 literally because I'm that cheap to get the top to do the dang project. And then I'm like, oh wow, yeah, this is an easy project. I just had to get the right gear in the first place. So these are mason tops. These are actually the same tops I use for fermenting inside of mason jars. This company makes really awesome mason jar products, and I use it for my kefir too. Yeah, fermenting and kefir, I have the same brand for all of them. So mason tops is essentially this strainer with these legs on it, which is important and key to sprouting sprouts. So I do 2 tablespoons of broccoli sprouts. Now there's a badass female scientist out there. Her name is Dr. Rhonda Patrick, I believe. Do not quote me on that. She has a YouTube channel. She's done various different podcasts with like high names like Joe Rogan. I don't listen to his podcast, but I know she's been on it a few times. And she commonly discusses the benefits of sulforaphane and how to get more sulforaphane in your diet, and that is through broccoli sprouts. So there's also kind of a sprout king. I can't remember what his name is either, but he's a doctor, and he explains in great detail how he basically is addicted to broccoli sprouts for its health benefits. So I'm not going to get into what sulforaphane and that sort of stuff is. I don't want to get sued, but I eat broccoli sprouts. So the reason for eating broccoli sprouts, or the reason why you may want to eat sprouts, is the crunch. They are crunchy compared to microgreens, in my opinion, because you're eating them literally when they're in this state right here, which is the whole. You're eating the seed, the root, the stem, the leaf. You don't want them to grow like a microgreen would. And you don't need any sun at all. These literally don't even live in this grow section. They actually live over on my counter, on my kitchen counter, where there is no light other than ambient lighting, which is pretty much zero. So that is sprouts. The cost setup for this, I run 2 mason jars because it's 3 to 5 days for sprout time. Now, if you put them by a cold window, you know, you're pushing 5. If you put them in like a warm area, like beside your oven type thing, where, for example, I keep my kombucha is kind of like by my oven, it's 3 days. So just keep that in mind. But I run about 2 jars at a time because this is kind of depleted now at this point, but this will last me about 3 days. You can add it to sandwiches, stir fries, just put it on rice. You can put it into, you can just eat it like with a little bit of balsamic vinegar, like as a salad, but ultimately very, very tasty and inexpensive. So this batch of broccoli sprouts I wanted to try from Amazon, so I had something to recommend to you guys that are in the US. So the broccoli sprout package I got was like 2 pounds of seed, which is an incredible amount of seed, for like $20. And so this is 2 tablespoons. So it's like not even a dent in the bag, really, or a dent in the bag, however you'd like to say that. And I'm expecting that to last me for about 6 months. So $20, 6 months worth of sprouts, which are incredibly healthy for myself and my husband, who eat out of that. The next version is microgreens. So microgreens, you're gonna need a window is kind of the basis here. If you don't have a window, all that's gonna happen is you're gonna end up with like semi-leggier sprouts, which is, I mean, not ideal, but it's not, whatever, it doesn't matter because you're not going to transplant these. So you can see I've been munching away on these ones so far. So this one I will run around, well, how many containers do I have? I have 5 containers. Me and my husband are actually celebrating our honeymoon here next week. So we're not going to be around. And because of that, I only have this last little dish left, and I actually don't think we're going to get through this before we leave on vacation. So I haven't started any other ones other than these ones I have here. But I got this tray set from Amazon years ago. It holds up very, very nicely. So it has your strainer tray, which is, you know, this tray with the holes in it. And then you have your bottom tray here, which holds your water. So I like to fill the bottom tray with water so I don't have to continually water. And then I will spread my microgreens on top, and I will just simply put another one of these green trays on top of that, and I'll keep that in place for about 3 days, and then I'll take it off, and then it will sprout into this. Now, the reason for the top on top of the seed is to keep the moisture up and to prevent against any bolting caused by light, and just keep everything really nice and compact. So with this one, I don't know seed wise how much I'm using, like teaspoon wise, but this is a 100-gram pack. Now this is a Canadian company. You can buy them on Amazon. I got this one from Early's Home and Garden, which is a local Saskatchewan company. It's like a mom and pop shop in Saskatchewan. You can get these on Amazon. This Mums, it's a family owned and operated company too as well. And I use about 1/4 of a pack a time, so 25 grams to fill up this entire tray. And you can see like how dense this is. And this is well over a week's worth. Now, I will say microgreens last a lot longer. So these microgreens have been edible in an edible state now for about 3 weeks. And you just don't keep a lot of light on them. You don't treat them very nicely, so they don't grow very fast. And so because of that, if you're a grazer and you don't eat a ton of leafy greens, this obviously is beneficial. Now, these are radishes. So this is the batch that we are slow to eat, and that's because it's got a little bit of kick to it. This is straight radish microgreens, which again, it has a little bit of kick. It's quite spicy, and so because of that, we just add a little bit to our meals. So I'll always have one of these laying around, but this actually, I very rarely would just eat straight radish. But again, I'm going on holiday, so that's the reason why. So I would go with a broccoli or a Brussels or something of that nature. And do not just buy the seeds from the store. I would encourage you guys to get actual sprouting seeds that are verified by someone, a registered company, because you want good germination rates and you want them for inexpensive. So this bag here is $5. And so I guess that'd be somewhere around 8 weeks worth of sprout for $5, which for me is gonna save me a ton of money, because otherwise my romaine lettuce, my 3 heads of romaine lettuce are with very little nutritional value, somewhere around $7. So you can see how quickly that can add up and save you some cash. The obvious investment here are the trays themselves. Now I do find that the seeds are a little bit tiny, and so I do put this paper towel in the bottom. Some people are going to say that's a very bad idea because it's bleached product. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. If you put it directly on this grate, a lot of seeds will fall through, I find. So you will want to put something there. I know you can get like hemp mats. I'm just not sure how reusable they are or like how cost effective it would be. But I currently just use paper towel because inflation. I'm just going to blame everything on inflation now. But yeah, so the texture of these is less crunch, more leafy green type vibe. So the stem is crunchy, but the leaves are a lot softer than that of the sprouts. So if you're looking for something that mimics a leafy green mix, then I would actually go with the microgreen setup. If you're looking for something that you don't have to babysit as much and will just give you like a continuous supply over a long-term period, then I again would go with the microgreens. In this case, you also have less risk of potential bacterial issues when compared to that of, again, the sprouts themselves. So those are all things to keep in mind, but ultimately what you choose is up to you. And it will save you money. I was a skeptic thinking that this stuff would save me any money at all when it came to greens. And the reality is that no, it does save you quite a bit, because it's just, you don't need the grow lights, which I mean is huge. You don't need potting soil, that's huge. You don't need the containers, that's huge. You don't need the hydro systems or anything. You literally need like a $5 top, and it's like $5 for 2. And then you would need the trays, and you wouldn't even need an excessive amount of this. I just eat a lot. I'm a salad junkie, so that's why I have so many of these dang things. But ultimately, very cheap. The other company that I've tried, so I've tried Mum's Sprouting Seeds, which is a Saskatchewan company. I've tried this Amazon company, which I'll link down below, for my broccoli sprouts only. I haven't tried them for anything else yet. And then probably the best, hands down, like bang for your buck, is going to be West Coast Seeds. They sell microgreen seeds, and yeah, it's drastically cheaper. So anyways, I hope this helped you guys out in deciding which one you wanted to go with. Let me know in the comments down below if you microgreen or you sprout. I'd be happy to know, and how much you think it saves you on average a year. I'd be interested to have that input as well. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.